In the heart of the city, New Year's Eve was supposed to be a celebration filled with fun, laughter, and fireworks. The streets were bustling with crowds, all eagerly awaiting the midnight countdown. I was there too, amidst friends caught up in the joy and excitement, completely oblivious to the terror that was about to unfold. As the night progressed, a sudden wave of screams shattered the festive atmosphere. At first, I dismissed it as a New Year's prank, but then the sheer terror in people's eyes told a different, chilling story. Panic ensued as people started running in every direction, desperate to escape from the unseen horror. I was wondering why people were in a panic. What were they running away from? What was it that they saw? Then, amidst the chaos, I caught sight of them. Human figures, but horribly altered. Their eyes were devoid of life, their movements erratic and unnatural. They were attacking the crowd, biting furiously. And those bitten underwent a horrific transformation, becoming like their attackers. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, yet it was happening right in front of me. Driven by instinct, I ran. The city around me descended into a pandemonium. Vehicles collided, fires erupted, and the streets were overrun by these monstrous beings that once were people. It was like witnessing the end of the world. I saw heartbreaking scenes. A man desperately trying to save his friend, only to be turned upon when his friend became one of those creatures. It was a landscape of despair and horror. In my frantic escape, I stumbled upon a small group of survivors taking refuge in a corner store. We quickly forfeited our temporary sanctuary, barricading the doors and windows. Fear and uncertainty hung heavy in the air. Through a crackling radio, we caught a snippet of what the news was saying. A viral outbreak, pandemic that was turning people into these relentless monsters. As the night wore on, the reality of our situation became very clear. We couldn't stay put here. Rumors of a military safe zone on the outskirts of the city offered us a glimpse of hopes. We gathered all our makeshift weapons, baseball bats, kitchen knives, and crowbars, and hoped for the best and left for our journey to the safe zone. The city streets had transformed into a maze of terror. We navigated through the ruins, constantly on alert for the roaming undead. Every shadow and every noise was a potential threat to our group. We were bound by the singular goal of survival, and we proceeded with caution. But the inevitable confrontation with these creatures was brutal and unforgiving. We lost many members along the way, and each loss was a stark reminder of the merciless world we are now in. Our journey through the streets were horrifying. Buildings, once a symbol of urban life, now stood as a hollowed remnant, echoing with the groans of the undead. We witnessed the city's downfall, its streets and alleys now graveyards of civilization. Yet, amidst all the despair, there was a fierce determination to survive and to see another day. After what felt like an eternity, with a glimpse of my eye, I could see the safe zone. It appeared. A fortified perimeter, guarded by armed soldiers. Relief watch all over us as we approached the gates. The soldiers saw us and quickly opened the gates, unsheared us in, and then they sealed the gates behind us. For a moment, we were safe, away from the immediate danger. But as I looked back at the city, now a distant inferno under the night sky, the magnitude of what had transpired hit me. The world as we knew it had changed inevitably and forever. We were survivors, yes, but at what cost? The future was uncertain, and the only thing clear was that the fight for survival had just begun. Story 2. My friends and I were at a big party in Loaf downtown. The music was loud and everyone was having a good time. But I couldn't stop myself from thinking about the serial killer that was loose on the news today, and that he might be lurking anywhere, and they told us all to stay inside. As the night went on, I started to feel really uncomfortable. I decided to leave the party and walk home, hoping the cool air would help me relax. But as I walked through the city streets, which were full of people celebrating, I felt like something was following me. I walked faster, feeling scared. Every shadow and noise made me nervous. I tried to tell myself I was just imagining things, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I turned onto a quieter street, trying to lose whoever was following me. Then suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. They weren't random. Someone was definitely following me. I looked back and I saw it was the hooded man from the party. He was walking faster now, keeping up with me. I got scared and started running. Thinking about the serial killer in the news, I ran into an alley, breathing hard, with the footsteps getting closer, and I thought I was in big trouble. Finally, I reached a street light and people. I looked back and saw the hooded man stop in the alley's entrance. He just stood there for a moment, then walked away. I didn't wait around. I ran to the nearest store and called the police. They came fast, but didn't find anyone who looked like the man I saw. He had a creepy smile, but after that night, I had a hard time sleeping, thinking about what could have happened if I hadn't made it to the lit street on time. Story 1. The Countdown to Madness. I am a writer, and I wanted to spend New Year's Eve alone in a cabin in the woods, far from the noisy city. The cabin was old and quiet, perfect for some peaceful writing and thinking. That night, everything was too quiet, almost creepy. The cabin started making weird noises, like it was talking to me. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just the old wood settling. But then the light began acting weird, dimming and getting brighter, as if the cabin was alive. When it was almost midnight, I felt really scared. I felt like something was watching me, even though I was alone. I kept looking around, but there was no one there. Just shadows moving around because of the fireplace. Suddenly, I heard a voice counting down to midnight, but it wasn't from my phone or anything. It was as if the air itself was speaking. I was so scared I couldn't move. Right when the countdown ended, a dark figure with glowing eyes appeared in the room. I was so scared to scream or run away. When the clock finished striking midnight, the figure mysteriously disappeared. Where the figure had been, there was now a piece of old paper on the floor. I picked it up, and it had a mysterious message written on it, saying, "Every year a new story begins. Make yours worth retelling." I left the cabin as soon as the sun came out. The paper was gone, and there was no sign of what happened that night. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was it a warning? A prophecy? Or something else?